Yo, what's good everyone? Today I'm going to be breaking down some of my favorite DraftKings plays for this Week 8 NFL DraftKings main slate. Let's dive right into it. And like I always do here in these videos, I'm going to give you a high-level overview of my cheat sheet, breaking down some of my favorite cash game plays here for Week 8. But as always, everyone, want to highly recommend joining my free Discord channel. You can see that mentioned above. We now have over 800 people in there talking multiple different sports for DFS, as well as some of their favorite sports bets. If you want to join that, there's a link to do so in the description below, as well as in the pinned comment below. With that being said, let's dive into the cheat sheet here. We're going to kick it off with the quarterbacks. Really have my eye on two guys here. I could have added a second honorable mention in Caleb Williams too, but as I record this right now, I'm under the impression that Jaden Daniels is not going to start here for the Washington Commanders here this Sunday, which just downgrades Caleb Williams slightly for me. It is a really good matchup for him against that secondary for Washington, but with Daniels out and Marcus Mariota starting, again, that's what I'm assuming, I just don't foresee the shootout potential in that game. So I don't have him as an honorable mention, as you can clearly see here. I do have Bo Nix there. Great matchup against the Carolina Panthers. I'm not a huge Bo Nix guy myself, but considering the price and what he's shown so far this year and the matchup, I think he's fine. But if I can spend up for Jordan Love this week, this is probably the best matchup he's going to have all year long against that Jaguars secondary, who cannot stop the pass to save their lives. So I do like Jordan Love here at $7,100. You know, I'm usually shooting for 3x value in my cash lineups, 150 DraftKings points. So at that price, we would need 21.3 DraftKings points for him to hit that 3x value. I absolutely think he can get there against that Jaguars secondary. And then Geno Smith, I talked about this in my first look video on Tuesday. DraftKings just refuses to price him up, and he's pretty much hit 3x value at this price all year long. So really, until he gives me a reason not to play him at this price, I think he's cash game viable. Sure, I understand it's a tougher matchup this week against that Bills secondary, but they're playing at home, and again, just a really solid price tag there. Now, moving on to the running backs here, and I absolutely love the running back position this week. I think there's a number of different routes that we can go. You can see I got 5 guys on the spreadsheet here, and I think this is where you're going to see cash lineups differentiate. Now, I do want to start here by mentioning 2 guys that I'd be willing to spend up for. Breece Hall and Joe Mixon. I'll actually go down here to Joe Mixon for starters because he has truly been elite in this Houston offense when he's been healthy, and now has a really good matchup again this week against the Indianapolis Colts. He's expensive at $7,700, and considering the value at this position, I put him as an honorable mention, but I would not blame anyone for playing him. Another guy that I'd be willing to spend up for here this week is Breece Hall, the New York Jets. Look, he's game script proof, heavily involved in the running game when they're leading, heavily involved in the passing game when they're losing, and this is a game here against the Patriots where they should be winning. But the 6K range, everyone, I absolutely love this for running backs. Kareem Hunt here against Las Vegas, Devon Achane against the Cardinals, Javonte Williams against the horrible run defense in the Carolina Panthers, and even DeAndre Swift there against the Washington Commanders. I put him as an honorable mention. This is my favorite spot for the running backs this week, and again, I think we can go a number of different ways, but all these guys here are looking good heading into Week 8. Now, folks, before we dive into the wide receiver plays here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. You guys have truly been great about that all year long. Every like, comment, and sub on this channel helps me grow, and the faster that I can grow this channel, the more content I'm going to be able to put out for you guys. Alright, now diving into those wide receivers, and usually this is one of my favorite positions to highlight. We can find some value here, and that just doesn't happen to be the case here in Week 8. And let me rephrase that. There is some value here at the wide receiver position. There's just not a ton of it, in my opinion. I would be willing to spend up for Drake London here against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team that he just decimated a few weeks ago. The target share is there. The DraftKings points have been there. Clearly the #1 receiver in that Atlanta offense, but Tyreek Hill at $7,000. This is the cheapest we're going to get him with a healthy Tua in the lineup. He is basically a lock in my cash lineup at this point. My guess is he'll be over 50% owned in cash games this weekend. And if we are looking for some true 3K value, to me, it's Cedric Tillman of the Browns. We do have Jameis Winston now throwing the ball, and I actually kind of like that. And this guy saw 12 targets last week. Now, I'm not banking on 12 targets week in and week out, but if you could give me anywhere from 5 to 8 at this price, I definitely think he could meet or exceed value. And then going into the honorable mentions here, I don't want to call T. Higgins the #1 wide receiver over Jamar Chase, but the target share has definitely kind of suggested that here this season, and he is sitting nice there at $6,500. And then Jalen McMillan here. Look, I like Cade Otton a lot more. You can see him as the only tight end that I have highlighted, but this guy saw 8 targets last week with both Godwin and Evans going down. Both those guys not going to play here this week. I suspect McMillan will be the #1 wide receiver, but the key word there is suspect. I'm not entirely sure what this offense is going to look like without their top 2 wide receivers, but all things are kind of pointing to him being the guy, and at $3,700, he was worth mentioning. Next, we do got the tight ends here, and more singular than plural, I suppose. I'm pretty much just locking in Cade Otton into my cash lineup this week. He should be the #1 overall pass catcher in this offense, considering Evans and Godwin are out. I trust him more than I do McMillan, and he's $200 cheaper, so he's pretty much stapled into my cash lineup right now. But if you wanted to go with Hunter Henry, he has looked really good with Drake May under center, and I wouldn't blame you for going that route. He's very affordable at $3,800 too. And then wrapping it up there with the defenses, and notoriously speaking, I don't spend up for a defense in my cash lineup, but I've put together a few mock cash lineups this week, and I have been able to spend up for the Ravens against the Cleveland Browns and Jameis Winston, as well as the Chargers against the New Orleans Saints and Spencer Rattler. So I like both of those defenses there, but if I do need the price savings, I like the Chicago Bears. That defense is legit, and I'll love them at this price, assuming that Marcus Mariota gets the start at the quarterback position for the Commanders here this week. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great weekend here, folks, and let's win some money on this Week 8 NFL DraftKings main slate.